Morning. Morning. Sorry, camera fell down. I'm going to go the traditional way this morning along the waterfront. Look at the day. I grew up on the Gold Coast for a while as a teenager, and when I moved away from the Gold Coast, something I loved about coming back to Victoria is seasons. On the Gold Coast, there's barely a season. It's like 26 degrees year round. Yeah, GoFundMe pages, Sass, absolutely. That's the topic this morning. I posted earlier just about, oh look, you know, I think even GoFundMe themselves, the company, I think from what I read, they are hating what is happening to their platform, but not doing anything to stop it. Don't forget, GoFundMe takes a significant percentage of all those, all the funds. It's about these, well, the story was about a lovely couple from, I think, Germany, who decided to keep traveling the world influencing people, changing people's lives with their photos. Instead of bludgeoning off her mother, that was her words, any longer, they set up a GoFundMe page to have people fund them. Now, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I contribute small funds to what I feel are worthy causes. Some small, some, I mean, look, it's all small funds. Wikipedia is one that I contribute to on a regular basis. I contribute to 2 animal rights activists and campaigners who travel the world, and basically their full-time job is animal advocacy. And they don't charge for their appearances or their talks or anything like that, so they rely upon their fans in order to sustain and support themselves. And they certainly don't drive around in BMWs, I can assure you. Anyway, so I'm not saying that I'm immune to it. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's her mum, Robbie, isn't it? I think it's her mum that does it, Robbie. But anyway, maybe you're right. And you know, I know there's times where, you know, I think GoFundMe was originally set up to assist charities, charitable organisations, and I'm sure there are many good causes as well. I think when I see so-called medical funding happening in terms of someone's sick particularly in Australia, you know, I'd rather campaign for more free medical. Anyway, I can sound judgy when I talk about it, so I won't. But that style of, you know, and look, I've seen it in would be sporting pursuits as well, where person X is a good athlete in sport B and they want to go to event C, and in order to get there they want you to pay for it. Anyway, morning Rachel, morning Paul. No, I don't, Paul. I had it pointing down. My mount's perfectly fine. And this is an interest of mine, Paul, so I'll fund it myself. .2% is it, Robbie? Right. Is that GST, the 0.2? What's their total fundraising so far, GoFundMe? Unless I forget they're just one of numerous, right? What's the one called that's specifically for products? Because I know there's, what's the one, the Go-Go? Anyway, there's other platforms. As I said, I'm going to go the traditional way this morning, meaning along the waterfront. It's going to be a beautiful morning. Couldn't help but notice one G Drayton went live this morning. Indiegogo. There you go. Indiegogo. And are they any different, Paul? What do they do? What's their point of difference? Or do they all just do the same thing? It's not that cold this morning. I've just got a jumper on. Sure thing, Robbie. Come for a coffee, Robbie. What time? What time do you think? I'm going to be busy in the afternoon. But if you're looking for a coffee, Robbie, come in the morning. Kickstarter, that's the products one, that's the one. Thanks, Paul. Now, Paul, I asked you a question the other day, I don't think you answered. I know you're about to move out even further, but are you riding every day now? Have you made the switch? I know you're commuting quite a bit, but every day? Or what? I had a special request yesterday. I hope Glennis and Sandy are watching. I've gone the wrong street, but I'll do it anyway. I'm going to quickly ride past somewhere and just check the fence. Beautiful little street this way. Good news, Glenys and Sandy, no graffiti. Actually, I'll keep going this way. And nothing at the back either. What about this banning mobile phones in schools business? I think I have mixed views on it. One is that I would have thought they were already banned. Two is, let's not remove modern learning tools. And three is, how do you police that? It's alright, Sandy and Glenys. I copped a traffic light for your benefit. Check on your fence. Isn't your best mate your favourite player? Isn't she married to him as well, Sass? Her name was Tutayer, now it's Falau. I didn't know that. Alright, Sass, as a millennial, as a young mother, as a adult, and as someone who was given a phone quite young for perfectly sound reasons. Mind you, the phone you first had was not a smartphone. Tell us, Sass, why do you think it's so stupid? Articulate yourself, darling. Oh, there you go, we can go here. Whee! Oh, we'll go up here. There we go. Yeah, maybe. I guess. As I said, I'm actually really surprised, and I did learn this morning that, to no surprise to me, that many schools have already had their own ban. But I'm really surprised that they're not already banned. I mean, back in my day, the equivalent, kind of equivalent, would have been, you know, me whipping out my my twin screen Donkey Kong and bashing away at that. Yeah, that would never have been allowed. But then the argument is, you know, teacher says Captain James Cook founded Australia. Kid says, hang on a second, that doesn't sound right. Whips out the phone, Googles, discovers that Captain James Cook didn't find Australia. He merely, Morty, how's this? He merely rocked up one day and did his job. The country, or the continent, had already been found many tens of thousands of years before, and says to the teacher, hang on a second, miss, Wikipedia says different. And then it starts a conversation in the class. How is that a bad thing? Because, you know, I've said before, and if you haven't heard me say this, allow me to declare this publicly, but I believe that the internet is possibly the greatest, I'll call it an invention of humanity, of all time. Let me explain myself. Language was a great turning point for mankind. The skill of, or the ability to communicate reliably between each other. The printing press and books in general, although it also created the Bible, which one could argue has created immense troubles itself. The printing press allowed the distribution of knowledge. However, it was distribution of knowledge only to those with access to the books. The internet has delivered that knowledge to a far wider audience. Now, I know it's not to everyone, there's still many. I'm going to go this way, look how wet it gets on there. To many, particularly West African nations who have very limited access to the internet, although they have fantastic e-commerce via SMS. I'll talk about that one day. Look it up yourself. Awesome things happening in Africa with short message service e-commerce. But you know, the internet has given far more people, and you know, forgive me for being so indulgent, but you know, I essentially owe my career and consequently a large portion of whatever success I may or may not have had in my life because of the internet. Hey kids! The fact that when the internet started, I started reading books. I wanted to learn all there was about whatever coding languages I could get my hands on. I didn't have any university or tertiary education and only had a year 10 secondary. Man, this is wet. And this one's wet, and this one's wet. So after the books came the internet, and I was able to learn anything I wanted. I was able to take a Broadmeadows and Gold Coast upbringing with barely a year 9 education, going into the Navy, to be what I hope is a moderately well read and partially educated person. So the point is, if we take that away from kids, and I'm not saying teachers aren't capable of teaching, teachers are. The sad fact of the matter is that just because somebody does a teaching degree does not make them a good teacher, unfortunately. And so therefore, you know, kids are in fact capable of learning themselves. And if we take away the phones, now what are you saying, Sass? Something about iPads? that they can still use that. Well, okay. And their laptops, yeah, great. Okay, so what's the difference with a phone? What is it about a phone? What is it? What would a younger person than you do, Sass, on a phone that they couldn't otherwise do? Oh, I know what you're probably going to say. It's probably the fact that their laptop and their iPad is probably connected to their school Wi-Fi network, which is probably filtered, right? Whereas their phone is using their own data. Is that the story? By the way, beautiful morning. So Sess, let me ask you a question. Sorry, I'm having a father-daughter conversation for everyone else here. When you had a smartphone in school, Sess, I imagine you had one. Did you? I can't remember. I imagine. Would you use it in class for social reasons? Probably only towards the end of your school, so you were, therefore, you know, you were sort of 17, 18, not really a kid anymore. No problem, Jess. I would. It's beautiful, Jess. You would. And was there any bans / restrictions in your school, Sass, given that you went to a semi-private Catholic school? Well, I say semi because private schools don't have the fees. I don't want anyone thinking that Normie was cashed up out at Forest. Yeah, big jellies. Yuck. Sass, was there any restrictions? Not really. Yeah, okay. So that was a consequence, was it? Taken off you. Well, there you go. Anyway. It's like a Douglas family conversation here. Blue skies, sun shining. We have tonight Connie, we have a toilet training seminar in Geelong. We have 3 continence professionals, long-time continence nurses, and we've got 120 people signed up. Uh, 120 people signed up, coming to Geelong to hopefully learn more about toilet training their children, a sharing of ideas, experiences. Connie is sponsoring and running the event. Naturally, we have a symbiotic relationship with toilet training. A number of our products are specifically designed for that. This stream brought to you by Connie. Anyone, any age. This bit's dodgy. See how narrow this is? If it looks narrow on the camera, it's even more narrow here. Oh, question for everyone. I changed the view to linear. My good mate Danny Hayes suggested that in one of his blogs on Million Dollar Bogan. you want to see really highly edited, great footage, fantastic destinations, and a kid from Cryo fumbling his way throughout the world, then that's Danny. $1 Million Bogan, go and check it out. Anyway, he suggested I switch it to linear, which should take out some of the so-called fisheye effect. How is it? Is it better? Can you still see plenty wide? Be interested to know. Sorry, Sandy, I'll have to slow down there. I think it should look a little more natural, so to speak. It's probably not quite as wide. That's what the linear option does. Crops it a little bit, and probably does a little bit of undistorting of the view of the image in order to achieve a so-called linear view. Oh, okay. Fair enough, Paul. The other thing I've done is to change from 1080p to 720. Not that you'd notice it on the live stream, but I have also been uploading these to my YouTube channel. And it ends up with a great big whacking file of like 6 or 7 gig. So at 720p, in theory, that should be about half. Anyway, have a good day all. Good luck to the Connie team this afternoon. And don't forget, tell your mum Ken Lee says hello.